Hey everybody, this is EGMachine Bates of Team Evil Geniuses, and this will be a replay review. The replay for today is actually a ZVZ. It's a ladder game I played against ProTech. He's a Zerg player. And let's go ahead and jump into the game. Alright, so I am actually spawning as the blue Zerg at the top right on Daybreak LE. And he is the red Zerg spawning at the bottom left. It's a very easy map to scout with these overlords. So as I'm sending this overlord directly to his natural, by the time it gets to this ramp, I am actually able to go ahead and scout his Zerglings moving outside of his natural to actually go ahead and engage my hatchery if I do go like a 15 hatch expand, which is exactly what I'm doing here. So as we see, I'm going to open 15 hatch, 17 gas, 17 pool. It's a pretty standard opening. And he's chosen to open 14 extractor, 14 pool. It's sort of just your standard run-of-the-mill opening. It's safe against everything, extremely adjustable, not a bad build whatsoever. Mine maybe, you end up harvesters to 15. Now he's going to go ahead here, build his early 6 Zerglings or so. He started his queen, started speed, pulled his drones off gas, and he's going to go ahead and expand behind this. So although I do have a drone count advantage, he's going to be putting some pressure on here with these 6 Zerglings. I'm able to scout it once again with this early Overlord. And so now I know exactly what's about to hit. I go ahead and start both my queens, start up Zergling production. If we look at the production tab, I'm producing 6 Zerglings at a time. He has 6 running to my base, so it should be just enough to go ahead and fend this off. I start a spine crawler. Notice in my main, I notice that, he needs to go ahead and target this down, so I've got used it to go ahead and buy myself some time, canceled it, and now I've got some extra hits on these Zerglings. My Zerglings, 6 Zerglings versus his 5 Zerglings, and they tend to be weak. Should be able to go ahead and fend this off, no problem. But because I know he's open 14 pool, I know his speed's about to hit, so I need to go ahead and spawn larva immediately with these queens and then use them to go ahead and block my ramp. So that's exactly what I do. Go ahead, hold position these queens on my ramp. I need to pull these drones away from my natural, knowing exactly what he's doing right now. And because the spine crawler is almost complete in my main here, once I can go ahead and move this spine crawler to my natural, I'll be free to go ahead and start mining and utilizing this base as a mining base once again. But until then, I kind of just need to dodge with these drones, try not to lose any, and secure my advantage. So now the spine crawler's gone ahead. It's being planted at my natural. As soon as it's down, I can feel free to go ahead, run my queen back to my main, and go ahead and transfer drones here from mining. And as we see, his natural is actually up, but once again, he's still just mass laying production. He's really kind of forcing himself to do damage here, whereas me with the harvester count advantage and the earlier expansion timing, I've already kind of done the damage I needed just by sitting back and playing passive. Go ahead and I start my baneling nest. My speed's almost complete, so even though he's in my main here, I'm not too worried about it. He sneaks in, picks off a single drone. But now my speed's complete, and he's sacrificed probably 10 Zerglings for 1 or 2 drones maybe. So he goes ahead here, maybe grabs 1 more drone. Yep, but he's lost 10 Zerglings, which is 5 larvae early on, as opposed to 2. That's a pretty big deal in ZVZ. So as we see here, I still have the harvester count. My baneling nest is done, so I can go ahead, morph defensive banes, and Ling Bane with spine crawlers is so efficient at defending early Ling Bane attacks. Just because the spine crawler is extremely hard to engage. It's very tanky, does a lot of damage, and you can use it to pick off banelings. So I choose to go ahead and take an early third, really take advantage of this economic build advantage I've given myself early on. Whereas he's opening extremely early Roach Warren, a evolution chamber. And it looks as if he could be going for either some sort of timing or maybe just using these defensively. He's really created himself a pretty narrow choke point. No real baneling nest, actually, now I notice this. So I'm assuming he has to use these roaches defensively. So if I did end up countering and doing a Ling Bane at the timing and he didn't have roaches, he'd be in quite some trouble. So as we see here, I decided to go ahead, Once I've hit around 44 drones, started my third, and then decided to go ahead, start my lair, start an evolution chamber before Roach Warren. The reason being I can go ahead and start my early upgrades and kind of get my little advantage into the mid game that way. Take both the Vespian Geysers at my natural, and I'm still just droning at this point. I have a good amount of Zerglings. I want to make sure I'm not really going to lose to any 2-base timings. The reason why I have this many Zerglings so far actually is because I scouted such a late third. I really expected his third to be up much sooner, so I was afraid of a 2-base Roach timing or something. And so because I have these Zergling advantage and map control advantage even with a third, I'm able to go ahead and force a cancel there. So my third's up. I go ahead and start my early third queen. I need to go ahead and start building drones to semi-saturate this. Once again, he still does not have a third base, so I'm worried about 2-base Roach timings. So I would assume I go ahead and start up Roach production here very soon. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm researching Roach speed. I have that +1 upgrade coming. And at this point, I realize because my third is so far ahead of his, it's already been mining for a good minute or so before his was even started. I really just need to kind of hang on to this advantage. So I need to go ahead and produce a spine crawler here. Worry about just defending this base at all costs, and then I can go ahead and utilize my advantage from there. And notice once again I still have the harvester count lead. I start my macro hatch here. It's extremely important that if you're going for these 3-base Roach timings and not securing the Vespian Geysers at your third, that you get a macro hatch. You just can't produce enough roaches off of the 3 hatcheries, even with 3 queens and spawning larvae constantly. You need a 4th. So I'm going to try to go ahead and hit this timing right after my Roach speed finishes. I've grouped up an Overseer with this, just so I don't have to worry about any early burrow play. As we look over here, he's had this disadvantage, yet he's going ahead and has put down an infestation pit, and he's trying to tech extremely quick infestors off of almost no economy. And so because of that, he should not really be able to hold off this timing effectively. So we see here, I go ahead, I've just been spawning roaches, my Roach speed finishes, and one thing I want to make sure I can do is go ahead and split his forces. I don't want to, even though he has a decent amount of roaches, and I should win the engagement, I want to split him however possible. So I'll go ahead here, take my Zerglings, run them directly into his main as a distraction, while simultaneously going ahead and attacking his third here. Get a little bit out of position there. He definitely has the advantage of the concave, but I'm able to go ahead, double back, and then get the concave advantage. Meanwhile, I've gone ahead, killed the queen in his main, then killing off his economy with these Zerglings, decide to burrow some in case he goes ahead and fends these off, so that I can once again go ahead and unburrow them later, cause a little bit more of a distraction in the main. But once again, my roaches were just a little bit too much for him to handle. He distributed his resources in too many different places by adding in these infestors, taking the Vespian Geysers at his third, when he already was at an economy deficit. And so I was able to just go ahead and take advantage of the situation. Meanwhile, I'm just spawning larvae at home, still rallying roaches, just throwing everything I can at this timing to try and go ahead and end the game here. Get a good concave here. I'm able to pick off his only advantage here, that being his tech advantage with the infestors. And pretty much should just end the game here. And GG. Alright, thank you guys for watching. This has been a replay analysis with EGMachine. Go ahead and check us out at evilgeniuses.net. We have a lot of other content, such as other replay analysis like this and replays of our own. So thank you guys very much for watching.